You're listening to Unity Online Radio, the voice of an awakening world.
Thank you for tuning in for this Unity Partner Program. Unity Online Radio partners with spiritual leaders from organizations whose mission and messages complement Unity's. We are pleased to bring you this program on Unity Online Radio, the voice of an awakening world.
Welcome to Truth Transforms with your host, Reverend Galen McDowell, Senior Assistant Minister at Christ Universal Temple in Chicago, Illinois. This is the program for spiritually enlightening discussion, interviews, and the practical application of new thought principles to transform your life. Now, here's your host, Reverend Galen McDowell.
Welcome to Truth Transforms. I'm your host, Galen McDowell, and I am the Senior Assistant Minister at Christ Universal Temple in Chicago, Illinois, where the Reverend Derek B. Wells is the Senior Minister, and the Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman is the founder. We're in the midst of a powerful series titled The Ambassadors of Light, and I have another powerful spiritual teacher just ready to help you live a healthy, happy, and prosperous life. So I don't want to take a lot of time, so I want to get right to introducing her. We have as a host today Mary O'Malley, the author of the book, What's in the Way is the Way. Hello, Mary. How are you doing?
Oh, hi, Galen. So happy to be here.
Great. Well, just so the audience has an opportunity to get a chance to know you, how did you get involved in teaching and writing about spirituality?
Well, it's kind of life just jerked me by the neck and put me there. I had no intention whatsoever or no even idea that this would be my life. But I was really gifted, and I don't say that facetiously, with a lot of darkness. And the one light in my childhood was Unity. You know, my mother brought us to Unity when it was in the early 50s, but I kept on going down a path into ever deepening darkness and tried to kill myself a number of times, was extremely compulsive about absolutely everything. And then when I was 27, a yoga teacher came to town, and he taught Hatha Yoga, but he also taught Jnana Yoga. And when I walked into that room and began to hear him, he changed my life. I couldn't say to you what he was actually saying because it was so new. But in my heart, I knew that he was speaking the truth. And one of the things that I learned from him is everybody had tried to fix me since I was very young. And he showed me there's nothing that needs to be fixed, that the power of human attention can transform all the blocked energy that you have taken on in your life back into the free-flowing aliveness that you really are. And then I had the good grace to meet Stephen Levine, who has written many books on death and dying, but really they're all about how to be fully alive. And he taught me how to meet every single part of me in my heart. And then life asked me to start teaching. People had asked me to teach for 10 years. No way, I'm not going to do that. I won't be able to do it all. When somebody will ask me a question, I won't know what to do. And so a friend of mine was teaching a class at the local college, and he said, well, I'll tell you what, Mary, just come and sit beside me. And it was a 3-night class, and the first night was wonderful. I had a lot of fun. The second night I went to pick him up, and he was sick. And I kept on meaning to ask him whether he was really sick or not. And that was the beginning of teaching. And then everything that evolved after that, speaking and writing books and leading retreats, it was all in God's plan. And I kept on saying, yes, 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 even though I didn't necessarily know how to do what life was asking me. But what my greatest strength is, I know I don't know. So God can just move right through me. And now I have 4 books and I travel the world, and it's a very, very wonderful life.
Beautiful. What are the central teachings in your book?
Well, I think the best way to describe them, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And I love metaphors. And so just imagine a beautiful meadow, and everything flows in that meadow. That meadow represents this alive, benevolent, highly intelligent flow that is life. And to me, God is a verb, and God is that animating presence that brings forth. I'm looking out this window to this wonderful magnolia tree, and I'm looking at my gardenia here, and I'm looking at myself. God is that animating presence, and everything in that meadow flows. Day flows into night, winter into spring, light flows, sound flows, water flows. We lived in that meadow when we were young. And then, because we were raised mainly by unconscious giants that were disconnected from themselves, we slowly and surely held on, held our breath, tightened our body, and ran away to our mind. So imagine all the clouds in the sky beginning to lower. They no longer flow. They whirl and swirl around you. The key of this metaphor is you never left the meadow. This great, intelligent, God-filled flow of life is always waiting for us, but we put a filter between us and life, which is our struggling self, and that's the cloud bank. Trying to get back to the meadow is just more struggle. This work is about remembering the meadow, but it's also about using your attention to dispel the cloud bank of struggle, and thus you find yourself back connected. And oh my goodness, we are so homesick for that.
Beautiful. When you were giving that example, and I know that example is actually in the beginning of your book, What's in the Way is the Way, I thought of the movie Back to the Future, because that's what it's really saying. It's you do all of this work, all of this soul work to get back to your original state of consciousness.
That's always here. That's always here, but we don't see it because we have been trained to try to make ourselves and life different than what it is. And that's our suffering. We long for this connection, but we're also afraid of it because the last time we were really here, we got scared out of it. So this is a very safe and methodical pathway back into life and connection with all the joy, the light, the love that is life.
Beautiful, beautiful. I do want to give people an opportunity to call in if they want. So if you want to call in and ask Mary a question, any question about her spirituality or in particular her teachings, give us a call at 888-558-6489, 888-558-6489. So let me ask you another question, Mary, while we're trying to see if anybody wants to call in and ask a question. Why is self-awareness so important?
Well, we were aware. We were connected to life when we were very young. Life flowed through us. And our attention was here in the flow of life. Then slowly and surely we pulled ourselves up and out of our bodies and we got caught in our heads. And they say we have 65,000 thoughts a day, and I say 95% of the repeats from the day before. So our attention follows thought all day long. And without being aware at all, we experience life as a thought. I call self-awareness, there's two aspects of it, curiosity and compassion. And what we're talking about right now is curiosity. You can learn how to develop the muscle of your curiosity. So, for example, when fear comes, rather than saying, I am afraid, you can say, oh, fear is here. So it gets deeper and deeper as you awaken more, so that now all those things that you used to be unaware of, on some level, yes, but caught in, now they pass through you, like fear and loneliness and despair and not enoughness and anger. And that brings you back to the joy of being fully alive.
Beautiful, beautiful. We have a couple of callers in. Our first caller is Reverend Bobby. Is he on the line?
I am.
Hello, how you doing there, Rev Bobby?
Hey, how are you, Galen? Good morning, Mary. How are you?
Morning.
Good morning. You were talking a little bit earlier about see it as a meadow. And in the 23rd Psalm, it talks about he makes me to lie down in green pasture, which means, the only reason I'm here is to kick back with an umbrella drink in the abundance of God. And why don't we want to believe that, Mary?
Yeah, because we got scared out of it. And it's
Have we been bad?
Yeah, that what? I missed that.
Have we been bad?
No, not at all. Not at all. The heart, which now science is showing, is our main brain. Our heart is inclusive. It sees that, it's like the yin and yang symbol. Dark and light are nestled together. It doesn't make dark bad. We all make mistakes, but mistakes are a part of the process. And this is why I love Unity so much and have spoken at many, many churches over the years, because their idea that God is love is just so true. The more you come back to life, you see a tree, and then it's love. And you know that you are loved by God every single moment of your life, even if you make what we call a so-called mistake.
Beautiful.
But it takes that love. It's that love that you have to surround the mistake with. It's that love you have to love that mistake with in order to keep it moving, if you will, and continue. To live this life to the fullest. Okay. Well, I'm going to listen to you guys some more. Thank you so much, Mary. Galen, I'll talk to you soon.
Take care, buddy. All right, we have a...
Okay.
Hold on just one second.
Add one other thing before we go to the next caller. The title, What's in the Way is the Way. It's so important just to let that settle in for a moment, because it basically is saying that all the challenges of our lives and all of our mistakes are not here because God is punishing us, or God has fallen asleep on the job, or because, we did it wrong, or they did it wrong. There's always great gifts embedded in the challenges of our life, and we're so used to going to judgment. And this is the pathway back to the aware heart that can gather the gifts in all of our challenges.
Beautiful, beautiful. Jeff, do we have the second caller online? Hello, Kay.
Hi. Good morning, Galen. How are you?
Excellent. About yourself?
Fantastic. Good morning, Mary. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
Fantastic. I've been reading excerpts from your book and excerpts from your newsletter, Awakening, and I read something one in your inspiration where you talk about the war of the struggling self. Would you care to talk more about that?
Yes. So we go back to the meadow metaphor, and we see how rather than being present for life, we are caught in this world of struggle. And if you had a little door on your forehead and you could open it up and you could see the stream of thought all day long, you will see that this struggling self is made out of fear, and it's glued together with judgment. And it's so amazing when you begin to learn how to relate to this struggling self rather than from it. A metaphor that I've been using lately is imagine a snow globe, and you're living inside of a snow globe. Most people don't know they're cut off from the living experience of life, the living experience of God. And, life has a tendency to shake up that snow globe, and we get so upset, and we struggle with things as small as what our hair looks like today to, a cancer diagnosis. But we are not that struggling self. We are that which can see it and love it back into wholeness.
Beautiful, beautiful. Kay, was that all? Or did you have another question? Or Was that
no, that answered my question perfectly. Thank you so much, Mary. I enjoyed talking to you as well as reading your newsletter and looking forward to purchasing your book. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kay.
Beautiful. We have a few minutes, maybe about 3 or 4 minutes before the break. I did want to ask you about your friendship with Eckhart Tolle, because I did a whole series on his book, A New Earth, chapter by chapter.
Wonderful.
Could you talk a little bit about your friendship with Mr. Tolle?
Well, I connected with him I think he had just published The Power of Now. So this is when he was not very well known. And I brought him to Seattle a couple of times, and he stayed with me. And he's just such a delightful person, And of course, he has endorsed a couple of my books. And I asked him once. I said, I'm a little envious, Eckhart. I want to wake up like you did, where everything just goes away, all the struggling self, and you're just here. And he laughed, and then he said, but Mary, most people will not wake up that way. And you are waking up, what I sometimes call the slow boat to China. You are waking up in that way in order to be a guide to people that are not waking up suddenly, as most people won't do.
Okay, beautiful. I'm a big fan of Eckhart Tolle, and a matter of fact, when I did the show on a few years ago on his book, one of the things that I was trying to get across in teaching that book was show a bridge between his terminology and traditional new thought terminology. The people don't get what is he saying? Because he uses his own unique terminology.
Right.
And when any new technology, science, or whatever comes into play, you have to sometimes create language because the language didn't exist before. Right. So when he started talking about, the pain body and things of that nature, I would have to relate it to something that Charles Fillmore, Ernest Holmes, or Joel Goldsmith, or Emmett Fox wrote about, and it helped bridge the gap. So I often tell people, if you want to get a good grasp of Eckhart Tolle, because you might have been struggling with his writings, I did that specifically for New Thought students. Now, we're getting close to our break, so I want to remind people that this show, along with all the other shows on Unity Online Radio, are supported by your donations. So as Jesus said, as you have freely received, freely give. So we're requesting and asking for your support. If you're on the website, click on the donate button and help support this online ministry that is sending a message out that literally is transforming the world. Mm-hmm. Literally. If you are listening to this show later via Stitcher or iTunes or the download from the website, you can still go to unity.fm, click on the donate button, and again, help support this ministry. Because here's the thing. We have to show up as present to make sure that we are, as much as we possibly can, and understand how to be the transformational agents of the universe. We're here to be the beacons of light. We're here to be the ambassadors of light. And one of the ways we do that is by supporting things, programs, and people who help support that agenda. So let's be a part of the growth of the universe. Instead of looking at something and judging it and criticizing it, let's be a part of the transformation. So with that, we'll take our first break, and we'll be right back with Truth Transforms.
Wouldn't you like to share the programs that inspire you most with audiences around the world? That's easier than ever with mobile giving. Just text Unity Radio to 72727 and help us continue offering spiritual programs that change lives.
Have you ever considered that everything you think, say, and do is a prayer to the universe? What would your life be like if you activated the power of yes? Join Reverend Beverly Molander and her exciting guests on Affirmative Prayer, Activating the Power of Yes, to find out how they activated the power of yes in their lives, their communities, or even the world. If they can do it, you can too. Listen to Beverly Molander and her guests live every Monday at noon Central, 1 p.m. Eastern on Affirmative Prayer, activating the power of yes. Only on Unity Online Radio, the voice of an awakening world.
Thank you for tuning in to Truth Transforms. Now, here's your host, Reverend Galen McDowell.
Welcome back to Truth Transforms. I also want to remind you that Christ Universal Temple has a website where you can go on and get more information about our ministry. You can go to www.cutemple.org, www.cutemple.org. You can watch videos of past sermons, different ministers, Reverend Wells, our pastor, our founder, the late, and I would say great, Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman. You can get more information about what we're about and what we do. So make sure you stop by the website and get more information. We have on our show again, Mary O'Malley, who is the author of the book, What's in the Way is the Way, and several other books as well. And we've been talking about a lot of stuff today. That first segment of the episode was power packed. So Mary, I want to touch on something in your book that I think is very intriguing. Can you briefly discuss, which might be difficult, the 6 phases of consciousness?
Yeah, do we have a couple of hours? I'll do it as quickly as possible. There's been 4 phases of consciousness that have been kind of floating, around. But I added 2 in them. And it's really important to understand that life is an unfolding process. And each of us is exactly where we need to be. And I think it was Jonas Salk that said, for millions of years, evolution has been happening in a cellular level. Now it's happening in human consciousness. So the first level of consciousness is life happening to me. And that's where most people live. It really is, and I'm going to use a word that is not judgmental at all, but it may sound like it, a victim. That life is happening to you. And, life is a pretty fierce process sometimes. So you can really feel, even when you are down the path of awakening, at times you can go back to that level of consciousness. Then it evolved into the by me. And this is such a most important part of consciousness. This is where you begin to feel that you have power. And this is the whole thing about creating our reality. Very important part. And it pulls you out of that victim consciousness into a sense of empowerment. But if you do not add that with the rest of the phases, then you begin to become afraid of your thoughts. In that by me part, you feel like you haven't been able to create the reality like everybody else has. So this begins to bring you into in me. That's the third phase. You begin to realize it's all happening inside of you. And as you really, truly come and set free this struggling self, you begin to show up for life more. And that leads you into for me. Life, God knows what it is doing. It is giving us the exact set of experiences we need in order to awaken. And you begin to come back to a deep trust of life. You don't always like it, but you trust it. That moves you into the 5th phase, which is through me. And that's what we knew when we were very little. But this is that you actually literally become life. There is no separation anymore. And you are moved by life. You still use your mind for maneuvering through reality, but in this deepest of place, life moves you because you are life. And that leads you to the last phase, which I don't think most people will know while they're still in a body. But it's as me, that you really are at one with the oneness of life. And we can go back and forth into, each of these levels on any given day. But it is a progressive movement to more and more flow, more and more spaciousness, more and more connection with life exactly as it is appearing.
Beautiful, beautiful. I think that's those steps really help guide people through the process. And I've heard, different stages of how it's been taught. I know Michael Beckwith has his version through the visioning process. Yeah. It's some old Unity material. It was a manual that came out many years ago. It's out of print now, called The Holy Spirit Regeneration. And I remember doing a seminar with Reverend Wells and another colleague, Reverend Roderick Norton, and we called it The Mind, the Mystic, and the Master. And it was basically to go from mortal consciousness to the metaphysician, to the mystic, to the master. So right. So these are just ways of trying to explain the phases of consciousness. And sometimes, we function like a mystic and we go back to being this mortal level of consciousness. Oh, life is happening to me. Woe is me. And then we have to remind ourselves, what's going on. Wait a minute. Yeah. Not only does the power reside in me, I am the power.
Exactly. And what I teach people in this work is to become a tightness detective. Because whenever we get tight, whether it's our body or our mind or our heart, we are caught in that separate self that is disconnected from God. And when you can be very curious about what is tightening inside of you, you gather the gifts of whatever challenge that is tightening you, because they always come with great gifts. And that, to me, is one of the quickest ways to begin to wake back up again. Oh, my God, I'm tight. I'm holding my breath. What is it that life is showing me here?
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. I think we have a caller. I saw Jeff do the turn with the phone. So I think that means we have a caller on the line. Is that accurate, Jeff? Yes, it is. We have Cindy on the line. Cindy, are you there?
I am. Good morning, Galen.
Good morning, Cindy. How are you?
Well, I'm doing great. What a great subject and author you've got this morning that you're interviewing.
Thank you. Well, Cindy, do you have a question?
I was listening to Good Morning, Mary, by the way.
Good morning, Cindy.
I was listening, and just anytime you talk about this subject, Galen knows I get very excited, but the mastery of omnipresence is really the thing that my metaphysical education has been about. It's such a simple idea, but it's gobsmacking in that it is life altering. Yes. From the old anthropomorphic skin on God, God that may be bipolar, have a mood disorder, not sure what the rules are, God, to bring in this level of always was, always will be consistency.
Yes.
How do you get a person from the old model?
Yes.
Of appealing to, praying to, dear God, we hope that you will, smile upon us, rather than the present tense, because it is in this moment that it's emerging now as my consciousness raises. Mary, how do you move a student from that old paradigm into this new revolutionary idea?
Yes. The first step is always meeting them right where they are. And then it is, breath is such an important part of this, because breath is God, and we hold our breath. So if somebody is very, very young and awakening, I introduce them to their breath. And in the book, there are 11 chapters in the book. And for 10 of the chapters, there is, at the end of each chapter, what is called the remembering section. And there's a hyphen in there. And it starts very, very slowly with just a few minutes a day of strengthening the muscle of your curiosity and then opening the heart. Because everything that forgets that God is, everything that forgets love is just what I call a spell. I love that word because it's something that's laid over the top of us. It's not true and it can be lifted. And slowly and surely, people discover how to see this struggling self. I call it look to unhook. And as they discover how to do that, then you automatically have come back to presence, to the connection with God as life and life as God.
Beautiful.
It sounds kind of like a spiritual exfoliation.
Yes. Yes. And we are that which can see all the parts of us that have forgotten the truth of God. That's what I show people, how to bring that awareness to everything that is forgotten so it can be healed. And, Stephen Levine, that I learned a lot of this from, somebody asked, once, well, how long does this take? And Stephen said, it's the work of a lifetime. And what I would add to that, oh my God, it's the only game in town, as far as I can see. That as more and more of us come back to the living presence that is this moment, our world will be healed.
Yes.
This is exciting for me to hear because Melinda Kramer, who is the original founder of Divine Science, had this message when she asked the universe, is there a power big enough to heal this lifetime malady? Is there something out there? Yeah. And her answer came back intuitively that she was it, that it was in her, that there was no separation. Yeah. And to me, this has been the strongest message in our metaphysical teaching, and we get this so tangled up and convoluted, and we end up not helping anybody. So I applaud what I'm hearing, and I will get your book. I'm very excited, and I'm thrilled that I got on today and able to talk to you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Mary, you wanted to add something to it. I saw it in your video.
I would add one thing, that when we look at life through the unconscious self, which is mostly in this head that likes and dislikes and thinks this is good and that is bad and that is right and that is wrong, we go to war with life. We do, inside of ourselves, in the world. When we begin to see that God is smarter than us, that God is unfolding this process, and it's made out of dark and light, we begin to realize we haven't made a mistake by getting so lost in this separate self. It is a part of our process, but now it's going to be the fuel for our awakening, our fuel for coming back to life. So I trust life, and I have the right to do that because I've had a tremendous amount of darkness in my life. And yet all of that has put me on the path of transformation and has taught me how to be the aware heart that will heal this world.
Beautiful. Why is forgiveness so important in soul growth?
Oh, my goodness. Well, we need to look at what forgiveness is, and for a lot of people, forgiveness is you did it wrong or I did it wrong, and now I'm saying it is okay. More and more of us are beginning to realize that true forgiveness is allowing things to be as they were, as they are, and as they will be. And when you get that essence, that then opens the heart, and the heart is what will heal this world.
Yes, yes. One of the things that we talk about at Christ Universal Temple and in the Universal Foundation for Better Living, which is the organization that Reverend Coleman started when she, left Unity, not theologically, but just to start her own organization. Right. We talk about love as the idea and divine mind of universal oneness.
Absolutely.
And to get this concept, and hopefully to people that Love is that idea, that energy, that activity that binds, cements, and holds everything together. Yes. And we don't see it necessarily with the five senses, but that doesn't make it true in spiritual reality.
Yes. You know, Eben Alexander, who wrote Proof of Heaven, which he doesn't like that title because there's no proof and he doesn't call it heaven. But he's basically saying, he was the neuroscientist from Harvard that got a spinal meningitis and was in a coma for 7 days, and he saw truth. And he came back and he said to me two really core things. First of all, heaven is not a place, it's right here, right now. And the second thing, love is the reality of all realities. It is the incomprehensibly wondrous truth that exists at the heart of everything that has ever been or ever will be. And that's what we're homesick for, to come home to the truth of love that literally, as you were describing, holds atoms together to make molecules and molecules to make cells and cells to make multi-cell beings.
Beautiful. We are coming up on our last break, so I want to remind the listeners that this show has a Facebook page. If you're on Facebook, you can put in your search engine and find Truth Transforms with Reverend Galen McDowell. I'm requesting that you like the page, share the information that you see on it. I put on quotes and videos and different things just to help present a positive message out to the world, a spiritual message, because, you know, you can scroll up and down your walls on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and see a whole lot of things that are not necessarily great for the development of your consciousness. So I want to be, again, a part of the solution. So help be a part of that process. And when we come back, Mary, I would love for you to talk about your chapter, The Songs of the Heart. So when we come back from that, I don't know if we have another caller coming in right now. Again, I see Jeff, and you just never know when the phone starts ringing. I love the interaction we had, but I don't want us to get past this interview without dealing with the Songs of the Heart. And since we have less than a minute, I want to make sure that we do have time to handle that. Anyway, so again, for those who are listening, make sure you go to Facebook and click on Truth Transform with Reverend Galen McDowell and share it. And if you like the podcast, etc., make sure you share them with people. You go to the unity.fm. It's a click. You can click on my page, go to the episode, and you can actually share it with the people you want to share it with. Put it on your wall. Send it to private messages. I'm sure there's somebody out there that you know that needs to hear the message that's what's in the way is the way. So we definitely want to do that. So we're going to take our last break, and we'll be right back with Truth Transforms.
You have a coach in your corner, a life coach, that is. Like a coach in sports, a life coach can help you set clear goals and develop the confidence and tools you need to achieve them. Join certified life coach Carla McClellan Tuesdays at 3 p.m. for Vibrant Living on Unity Online Radio. Each week, Coach Carla and her guests will share strategies and solutions designed to help make your life more focused, more meaningful, and more vibrant. Do you have a specific issue or topic you'd like to discuss with Coach Carla? Call in toll-free Tuesdays at 3 p.m. during Vibrant Living, Life Coaching with Carla.
Every moment we live can be holy, and all we need to do to experience that state is to make the decision to do so. Everything we do can be a prayer, and by using our innate creativity with intention in every aspect of our lives, that can indeed be true. Author Carla Kincannon wrote, "Creativity is so much more than art making. It is a tool for navigating through everyday experiences to find the sacred in each God-given moment. Discover creative spirit Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Central Time, and experience the joy of connecting to Spirit through creative expression.
You've been listening to Truth Transforms with Reverend Galen McDowell. If you have questions or comments about today's program, or if you'd like to join in on the discussion, email us at truthtransforms@unity.fm. Now back to Truth Transforms.
Welcome back to Truth Transforms. We have, again, the author Mary O'Malley online, and we're interviewing her. Not only am I interviewing her, but we've had a lot of great callers today, and we have another caller. Sherry is on the line. Sherry, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Good to hear from you, as always.
Yes. No, I'm enjoying the show. I'm glad to have an opportunity to ask a question.
Beautiful. Go right ahead.
Sure. Mary, my question is about parenting, and what do you feel would have made a difference in your life in terms of how you were parented, recommendations that you have to parents today to not so much awaken their child, because that's not our responsibility, but at least to provide an environment where they can know that the light is within them and that their way in or through is through.
Right. And, there's two things that we can add to parenting, which is a very fierce process. I was a single parent for many, many years. And the first is do our own work. There is a wonderful little statement that showed up just all in one piece as I was writing this book. Life is set up to bring up what has been bound up so it can open up to be freed up so you can show up for life. So in my world, on some level, everybody is a character actor in the theater of our awakening, including our children. And we begin to learn how to do what I develop in this book, the U-turn, the Y-O U-turn. Whenever there is a huge challenge in our life, or even a small challenge, we begin to learn to ask life, ask God, what are you showing me here? Because the challenging person, the challenging situation is bringing up something that is forgotten that God is, that truth is. So that's the first step. And if people are not interested in getting the book, that I would be glad to send them just the chapter on that. And they can just email me at awaken@maryo'malley.com. The second thing is the first.
May I ask something? Because something you said, you reminded me when you were saying it that you said that we grow up and we forget.
Yes.
That we're so connected.
Right.
And when you said that, it really rung a bell for me, because I have this beautiful 15-month-old, and he is just beyond delightful. So my question is, how do I support keeping him connected to that?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know. And the first is to do your work. And the second is your eyes, Sherry. Children are so connected. And they watch our eyes a lot. They watch our whole face, but they definitely watch our eyes. And if we were able to, at least once a day, say with our eyes, I love you exactly as you are, that is just phenomenally important. They will not lose themselves as deeply as we did. And then the other thing you can do with children, and you can start this very simply right now, but have talk time at night. Have time, you read a story, and then maybe you every night you say, well, what was the funnest part of your day? And what was the most challenging part of your day? And you don't judge, you don't try to fix, you just listen. Then they begin to realize that you are a safe place to share what's going on in their life, and you as the adult can give them really good feedback. So it's really about loving with your eyes and listening with your heart.
Got it. Thank you for that. That's helpful.
Uh-huh.
Thank you. Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry.
Mary, could you touch on the last chapter in your book, The Songs of the Heart?
Oh, I just love this chapter, and it's just such a short chapter, and it's the whole reason why I think this book asked to be born through me. And the best way I can describe it is I've got some really nice lazy boy recliners up on the moon. And I can't eat popcorn, but up on the moon I can eat popcorn with tons of butter. And I just love going up to the moon in my imagination because you begin to get a broader perspective. You see that everything you see, the sun, the moon, Mars, the earth, the clouds on the earth, the continents on the earth, was all made out of stardust by this intelligent beingness that we call God. And you begin to see that God life knows what it's doing. But you look down at the earth and you are just stunned by that creativity. I mean, I just got back from leading a retreat in the rainforest of Costa Rica. Oh my God, the colorful birds and the howling monkeys and the exquisite view of the Caribbean. And here is this, in the ocean, there's dolphins and there's sea anemones and then there's majestic icebergs. And what is it that brought forth such a wide variety of life? And you look over at Mars and it's beautiful in its own right. It's, red and rock. And you look at the moon and it's brown and dust. But then you look at the earth and you go, oh my God. But if you look closely, you'll see that most human beings are walking around with a cloud bank around their head. They do not see the sacredness of everything. They especially don't see the sacredness of themselves. And because of that, they can do actions against themselves and against others and against the planet that really hurt themselves and people. Now, from your place on the moon, imagine more and more people like listening to your radio program, reading my books, and imagine more and more people, their cloud banks are thinning. And they begin to see the sacredness of even a dewdrop, for heaven's sakes. And that is when they begin to move from their heart. And people that move from their heart become healing presences on this planet. And see just many, many people, their cloud bank being thinned, and see that connection with God, with life, with truth, with love. See them radiating that out into the world. And that, to me, is what is going to heal the world.
Beautiful, beautiful. Your statement reminded me of two statements we use in our classes here in the Johnny Coleman Institute at Christ Universal Temple. One of them is from Lessons in Truth by H. Emily Cady.
Right.
And the chapter Bondage or Liberty, which she writes, every man believes himself to be in bondage to the flesh and the things of the flesh. All suffering is the result of this belief.
Yes.
So it's just a belief.
Yes.
But we think it's a power.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead. Excuse me.
And I call it a spell. I love that word because it takes it to, this is something that I absorbed when I was young. It's not true, and it can be lifted. That cloud bank that feels it is separate from truth can be lifted, and it can be lifted through the power of your own attention.
Yes. So we'll tell people the primary cause of suffering is forgetfulness of our divine nature as spiritual beings,
right,
with dominion over our own thoughts and feelings. And it's important that we remind ourselves that we have within us the power to transform our lives. I think years ago, one New Thought writer in the early days wrote that new thought is the Christ thought made new by being practically applied in everyday affairs. Mm-hmm. And when we look at it from that standpoint, that it's always a shift in thinking.
Yes.
It's always a shift in thinking. God, I tell people in my classes at times, God being omnipresent doesn't necessarily mean that stops people from being assaulted in what we call bad neighborhoods, etc., or it doesn't stop the wars and things of that nature. It's only those who are awakened to the truth that God is omnipresent love.
Yes.
That God is peace, that God is joy, that God is abundance, that God is all this potential good waiting to be expressed in our lives. When we wake up out of our spiritual amnesia, which I'm translating and reinterpreting the cloud to be, the spiritual amnesia, the more we come out of this amnesia, sort of like Neo in the Matrix. I don't know if you ever saw the Matrix before, but Neo in the Matrix, the process of awakening helped him realize that he was the one. Yes. And we all have to get to the point where we realize I am the one, because I'm the expression or the self-expression of the one.
The unique and necessary expression of the one. And it's so important to add, every single person is exactly where they need to be on that process, on that unfolding. And when we begin to let go of struggling with life, that's when the cloud bank fins.
Yes. And where non-resistance comes into play. And people taught non-resistance throughout the years, like a Jesus. Turn the other cheek. It's not necessarily always an outer act. Turn the other cheek is an inward act to the thoughts and feelings that rise up within us that make us want to act out. And sometimes act a fool.
That's the key. That's the key. That's the key. Yeah.
Yes,
and
definitely.
we think we are this storyteller that just gets angry and judgmental and tries to control and manipulate and gets very scared and feels very alone. None of that is who we are. Absolutely. May we bring our heart to that so it can dissolve, and there we are, at one with life again, at one with love.
Well, we only have a little bit less than 3 minutes left, so I want to make sure that you leave something with the listeners that you really want them to know. Besides, you gave your email, your website address. Please give that again. And please, within 1 minute, please give us something to take home with us.
Right. You can trust the process. It's not always likable, but it is absolutely trustable. Life is smarter than us. God is smarter than us, and it will give us the exact set of experiences we need in order to transform the unconsciousness that we took on as a soul into consciousness. And I have these 3 cards. If they are interested in it, I will email them to them, or have my assistant do that. If they email awaken@maryo'Malley.com. And one is a question mark. It's about just being curious about what life is offering you in this moment. One is a heart. May you meet whatever you are experiencing in the vast healing regions of your heart. And the third says soft belly. Because the more we soften our belly and breathe ourselves back into life, the more connected we will be.
Absolutely. And I think that integrates mind and body, or actually spirit, soul, and body, because the breathing helps people get connected. I, besides being a New Thought minister, practice Kung Fu and Qigong.
Right.
And the breathing, meditation, the energy, the Tai Chi type movements, you can have a very, very long day of work. And then when you get into that space, it makes you present to your breath and the energy moving through your body. So I'm a big promoter of that type of exercise, because I know what it can do and how it can relieve stress, get you present. And when we have a large Chinatown in Chicago, and you can go down and see people practicing Tai Chi and et cetera. Obviously go on to the internet and see all of these people doing the work, because what it does is it pulls you back present, because it makes your mind and your breath coordinate. And that helps to heal.
Yes.
Definitely. So we've run out of time, Mary, but this has been absolutely a great interview. Thank you so much for saying yes. We'll definitely have you back on the show. Let me look at my schedule and you look at yours. We're going to have to work it out, and we'll maybe just dig in deeper into some of the concepts. So make sure you go, and audience listeners, please make sure you get the book, What's in the Way is the Way. Go to Awaken at, was it?
No, it's MaryO'Malley.com. You can get it at Amazon and, Barnes & Noble and all that. But you can also get it from my website, and I have other books and CDs and phone counseling and phone groups, and I'm going to Denmark in May, and I'm going back to Hawaii next year for these wonderful retreats where everything is geared to help you awaken.
Beautiful, beautiful. So go to our website, get the information, and most importantly, do the work. As Reverend Coleman used to always tell us, it works if you work it. God bless you all. We'll be with you next week with Truth Transforms.
Thank you for tuning in to Truth Transforms with Reverend Galen McDowell. Join us every Wednesday at 10 a.m. for live discussions about how to live a spiritually transformed, prosperous, healthy, and joyful life. Truth Transforms, only on Unity Online Radio. This program is brought to you in part by Christ Universal Temple in Chicago, Illinois. Online at www.cutemple.org and on Facebook and Twitter under CU Temple.
If I were brave, I'd walk the razor's edge, where fools and dreamers dare to tread and never lose faith.
How is life working for you? Would it be okay with you if life got easier, simpler, yet more meaningful and vibrant? Join certified life coach Carla McClellan Tuesday afternoons for Vibrant Living. Each week, Coach Carla and her guests will share strategies and solutions designed to make your life more vibrant. Is there something in your life you'd like help with? A dream you'd like to achieve? A relationship you'd like to improve? Call into the show toll-free for Coaching with Carla. That's Vibrant Living, Life Coaching with Carla. Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Central on Unity Online Radio, the voice of an awakening world.
What if we're all meant to do what we secretly dream?
Inspiration only takes a moment. Reverend Dr. Thomas Shepard shares this from his book, Good Questions. We are here to learn, grow, experience, savor, exalt, cherish, create, and to use our connection with that mind to make safe decisions. We are here to share, to be fruitful, and to multiply the good over and over again. Centering on the divine within, we become still and realize that whatever happens, we are still one with God.
This meditative moment is brought to you by Unity. At Metaphysical Romp 2, we demystify metaphysics to help you live life at a deeper level. One of our key principles is the recognition that you always have the power to choose how you respond to any situation. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" a better practice, which aligns with the metaphysical principles we share, is to ask yourself the question, "How can I use this for good?" We promise you'll experience a transformation in thinking that will reap huge dividends as you master the art of living metaphysically. For new perspective and spiritual insight, listen to Metaphysical Romp 2 with co-hosts Reverend Paul Hasselbeck, Reverend Bill Holton, and Reverend Cher Holton. Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Central Time, here on Unity Online Radio.